Morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to this information session and thank you for attending, for taking the time to attend. I appreciate your interest and engagement. Now I'll turn things over to the Director General, who will present today's agenda.
I'm not the Director General, but I will say something. Bon matin à tout le monde. Je tiens à vous remercier d'être venus ce matin pour nous rejoindre pour cette séance d'information. D'avoir pris le temps de venir aussi. Je n'ai pas grand-chose à dire, c'est seulement l'introduction. Et souhaiter la bienvenue. Là, je vais céder la poste à notre directrice générale, Isabelle Cardinal.
Bonjour à tous. Merci d'être présents et de participer à cette séance d'information. J'aimerais également souhaiter la bienvenue à tous ceux qui nous joignent en direct sur Facebook Live. Cette séance est diffusée en direct afin d'assurer tout le monde qui peut se joindre à nous aujourd'hui, même s'il y en a qui ne pouvaient pas venir en personne. Donc, l'ordre du jour pour aujourd'hui, nous allons avoir, après, à la suite de ma présentation, on va avoir une présentation par notre pro-mairesse Squiddy et le président de la table d'évaluation, Angela Giroux, sur les différentes actions qui ont été prises par la municipalité et la table d'évaluation. Ensuite, nous allons avoir M. Lepoutre qui va faire sa présentation sur la demande de révision, alors tout le processus. On vous invite à demander des questions, c'est vraiment le temps. Je ne sais pas si vous avez eu la chance de prendre un formulaire à l'arrière où ce que Melinda allait. On a des formulaires qu'on a imprimés, donc durant la présentation de M. Lepoutre, il va vous expliquer un peu comment compléter le formulaire. Donc, on en a à votre disposition aujourd'hui. Je vous invite aussi à profiter de notre table de thé, café, croissant, d'aller vous servir. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending and participating to this information session. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to those of you joining us on Facebook Live. Today's session is being live streamed on Facebook to be able to ensure a broader accessibility to today's presentation. Today's agenda, so following my presentation, we will have the Pro Mayor Squiddy and the Chair of the Evaluation Task Force, Angela Giroux, presenting the different action taken so far and what's coming next. Following that, Charles Lepoutre, the accredited evaluator we've been working with for many months now, will be giving a presentation on the process for the request of a reassessment. We have forms available, so please, if you don't have a form with you, get one, because during Mr. Lepoute's presentation, we will go through all of the steps to fill out this form. We have coffee, tea, croissant for everyone to serve yourself. And we also invite the people online to ask questions. We will be connected, so use the chat section in order to ask your question, and we'll be able to present those as well. So now I would like to welcome our Pro Mayor Squiddy and Angela Giroux, the chair of our task force, to present our actions.
Bonjour à tous. Je tiens à vous remercier tout pour votre présence aujourd'hui, que ce soit en personne ou en ligne. Ma priorité est de contester ce processus d'évaluation. Et cette journée est importante quand nous devons fournir toutes les informations nécessaires aux contribuables de leur offrir notre soutien de toutes les manières possibles. La municipalité et le groupe de travail ont pris des mesures significantes dans ce but. Aujourd'hui, nous vous présentons les différentes actions entreprises. Beaucoup de choses ont été accomplies en seulement un an. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you all for attending today, whether in person or online. My priority is to challenge this evaluation process. Today is important as we are aiming to provide all the necessary information to ratepayers and offer support to our ratepayers in every possible way. The municipality and the task force have taken significant action towards this goal. Today we will present the various steps that have been taken. We have accomplished a lot in just 1 year. The actions taken by the municipality to date. At the start of this fight, the municipality sent a resolution requesting support to all Quebec municipalities. Councillor Bergeron and I sent a letter to Ministre Laforêt, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, whom we also met in Quebec City in September at the FQM Congress. During this visit, we also met with members of her office to discuss our evaluation assessment issue. We have presented a resolution to the MRC Pontiac requesting their support and proposed a bylaw to the MRC Pontiac aiming to modernize the way that municipal shares are calculated. I have also presented a resolution to the MRC Pontiac requesting compensation for the shares owed by Alleyn-Cawood. In October 2024, we sent a comprehensive information package to Municipal Affairs, the FQM, and the Union of Quebec Municipalities, and Minister Andre Fortin, to name a few, requesting that they change the legislation to eliminate the comparative factor in years 2 and 3 of the triennial roll. As a result of this, our Director General, Isabelle Cardinal, and I have had several meetings with Municipal Affairs and the Union of Quebec Municipalities to discuss this issue. On December 14th, the municipality and the task force held a public information session, which provided an update to ratepayers. At this time, we also presented and adopted the 2025 municipal budget. I proposed a resolution which was sent to Municipal Affairs requesting the annulment of the flawed 2025 triennial assessment roll under Article 171 of the Municipal Taxation Act. In addition to this, I have also proposed a resolution which would enable the municipality to use the road system when applying taxes. And finally, today we are holding a public information session on the process for a request for a reassessment. Angela will now present the actions taken by the task force.
I will keep this very brief. I think Sydney basically said most of the actions taken. In May of last year, we started the evaluation task force, and it's a blend of Director General Isabelle Cardinal, Councillor Sydney Squiddy, and Guy Bergeron. Then we, as taxpayers, you have Donna Maxwell, Maggie Early, Denise Renault, Michelle Peck, myself, Angela Giroux, and Yan B. I'm sorry, I have a difficult time with his last name. What I want to say this morning, and I never stay on script, is it's true. I think you're all here this morning and you're wondering, what has the task force done? What has the municipality done? We've actually done a lot, but you get your tax bill and you see your evaluations have still gone up and some of your taxes have gone up. We know the mill rate was dropped. However, we're still in the works of challenging that process. And we know that at the provincial level, things take a long time. I think as Sydney mentioned, there's already been some legislation changed, and we're still following up and waiting for information, but there still continues to be that dialogue at the provincial level. The MRC level, that's a completely different story. We've had a very difficult time dealing with the MRC. They haven't been super supportive there, but we're very hopeful that that partnership can continue and they will support us. So all I'm saying is there has been a lot of work done, even though it may seem when you look at your tax bill like your evaluations are still there. But we will continue this fight. We want to thank everyone who's been involved for their support, because it takes everyone to that. As an example, Julie Vaux who's not officially a member of our task force, has been instrumental in helping all of us, and we can't thank her enough. So we appreciate that and every other support from everyone who's provided it. So I'm just going to turn it over back to Sydney, and I just want to say that I will be around all day too. I'm not that I'm an expert, but please, I'd love to have a conversation with every one of you that would like to discuss details. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. So as Angela mentioned, we are currently awaiting further information. We have requested from Municipal Affairs that they cover the difference in the contested amount of our municipal shares owed to the MRC. We believe that our request is justified given that Municipal Affairs themselves have confirmed that Alleyn-Cawood's situation was exceptional. Meanwhile, at the last council meeting we held this month, we adopted a resolution requesting that the MRC Pontiac pause any legal action until we receive a response from Municipal Affairs. This resolution will be presented for a vote at the upcoming public meeting of the Council of Mayors on March 19th. This letter also included a resolution that I proposed in February regarding the calculation of municipal fees, also known as the mutation fees, also known as the welcome tax, specifically a request to eliminate the standardized value from the equation. We also expressed our gratitude for the legislative changes that were made in January as a result of our efforts. However, these changes are not enough, and we are continuing to advocate for the complete elimination of the comparative factor in years 2 and 3 of the triennial roll. We will keep you updated on any responses and on our next steps. Thank you again for your support and enjoy your day. I will now introduce Charles Lepre, accredited evaluator, to proceed with his presentation. I would also like to thank Mr. Lepre for his time today and for the invaluable insights he has provided throughout this journey. Merci encore pour votre soutien et passez une excellente journée. Je vais maintenant présenter Charles Lepre, évaluateur accrédité, qui va procéder à sa présentation. Je tiens également à remercier M. Lepre pour son temps aujourd'hui et pour les processus d'information qu'il nous a fournis tout au long de ce processus. Merci.
Everybody can see? Maybe I should move this. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
There we go. That's better. Yep. So good morning. Good morning. Here we are again. So I'm going to go about this in English, and if there's any questions in French, ne vous gênez pas, I'll go directly to the French version of what I'm explaining this morning. So the clinic that I'm doing this morning is the request for an assessment review. This is a process that is open to you as ratepayers since you received your tax bill. The municipality has been challenging the assessment in 2024 based on the proportion median. 2025, 2026, 2027 is your new assessment roll for the next 3 years. And the assessment is part of your tax bill today. Now, since it's the first year of a 3-year roll, the ratepayers are allowed to ask for a review. So the review process is not that complicated, first off, because you're doing the request for a review to the municipal assessor. You're not going to court. It's an administrative system, and that request for a review will be sent to the assessor, and he has up until the 1st of September or the 1st of October, depending if he gets an extension or not, to respond to you in writing. Not on the phone, not email, yes, or a response in writing, since you putting in a request in writing. So this morning, I'm gonna go through the process. It's very technical in the sense that you all have a form. The Quebec government has prescribed this form. You cannot put in a request for review without this form, right? This is the application for the review. So we'll just go through the process, and as I go through it, maybe some questions will arise, and we'll go through them as we progress. So, your tax bill has a lot of the information that you need to put in this form. Your tax bill has the name of the municipality, obviously. The period right now is 2025, 2026, 2027. It has the address of the property, it's important. And then it has the cadastre, which is the lot number. And it has the roll number. These are identification numbers that you absolutely have to have on this form. The slides coming down are going to show you how to fill it in. And number two, if you follow the form, right? If you follow the form, you'll see number one, right? Information, it's number one. Number two, information of the applicant, you see? So it's the same order on the slides as it is on the form. So number two, you'll have the name of the owner or owners. You don't have to detail that. One owner is enough, as long as it's the person who signed it. The postal address of the owner or owners. The email is not on your tax bill. My mistake, but you have to put in the email. And then the identity of the applicant and the roll number again. So the name of the owner could be Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, and the applicant could be somebody else. Have to be careful there. If the applicant is somebody else, he has to have procuration. He has to have power of attorney to sign for that person. Sometimes that happens with elderly people. Could happen. Or if you're represented by a lawyer, don't worry about it. He's going to put your name as the owner and he's going to sign as the applicant. Lawyers have all the power of attorney. Not all the power. So the next slide. As you can see, this is your tax bill, right? And your tax bill has two items in it. It has your taxes, and it has the identification of the valuation unit. So you see, going back to number one, you see you will have, number one, you need the address of the property, right? The address of the property is right here, sorry. You will have the cadastre. There could be many lot numbers. Again, as co-owners, one lot number is enough. If there's two, you can put two, but if there's five, you can go as many as you can on the form. The most important identification number is the roll number. That's right here. Okay, so I think the next slide would show it on the application. There we go. So, from your tax bill, you can put the name of the municipality, Alleyn-Cawood. You can put the exercises as 2025, 2026, 2027. It's important to fill in all three. All three. This is for administration purposes only, so there's nothing to put in there. You have the civic address and the address of the property, not your address, the address of the property that is being asked for a review. You have a pretty good line for the lot numbers. So if you have 2 or 3 or 4, go ahead, put them all in. But if you forget one, it doesn't really matter because the most important identification is this. You see? It's the roll number.
Est-ce qu'on peut avoir des, pour le roll number, est-ce qu'on peut avoir des cases sans rien dedans parce qu'il n'y a pas assez de chiffres?
Dans le cab?
Non, en dessous, là, dans le numéro de matricule. Là,
Non, oui, ici, d'habitude, c'est des zéros.
Okay.
So if you go back one slide, okay, look at your matricle number. Your matricle number is 4 digits, 2 digits, 4 digits. After that, you have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so if we flip back again, okay, you'll see 4 digits, 2 digits, 4 digits. The rest you can leave blank or put zeros.
Il y a comme une lettre avant le 4.
Oui, la lettre F.
Oui, c'est ça. Je m'en soucie.
Où ça?
Nous dans la
Ici?
Oui, des fois, il y a la lettre F avant le numéro de matricule, mais non.
Non, there's no alphabetical, il n'y a pas d'alphabet dans le numéro de matricule. Comme vous le voyez sur le formulaire, c'est 4 chiffres, 2 chiffres, 4 chiffres. Le reste, d'habitude, c'est des zéros.
Question qui est est-ce que ça en ligne, on peut rentrer dans le
Oui,
formulaire?
oui.
Sur la formule code PDF.
Yes, you can file this online directly onto the PDF. And then you save it on your C drive. Okay? So the first part is quite important because it zeroes in on the property that you're asking for a review. If you have 2, you have 2 forms. You have 3, you have 3 forms. And every time it refers to one roll number. That's very important. Oui. Alors, ce qui est important, c'est que pour chaque demande de révision, évidemment, toute l'adresse et puis les numéros de cadastre, c'est parfait, c'est important. Mais les numéros le plus important, c'est le matricule, le numéro de rôle. Ça, c'est instantané, il est unique en son genre. Dans le rôle d'évaluation de Alleyn-Cawood, il y a un matricule, c'est votre propriété, si c'est le cas.
C'est un formulaire par propriété.
Yes.
Donc, si vous avez plus qu'une propriété, il faut remplir plus qu'un formulaire. Yeah. Ça veut dire plus qu'un 90 $. Et le frais pour chaque.
Yeah, if you have multiple properties, you have to fill in a form for each. So we're good on 1 and 2? Good. All right, so we go down. So 2, the second part, your name. That's the name of the renseignement de l'identité du demandeur. So technically, I'm sorry, could we go back to the, we haven't put down any names yet, right? No. I'm sorry, go back. Okay, so name of the applicant, right? The address of the applicant, right? And then the municipality of the address of the applicant and its postal code. Very important. Phone number. Email. So technically this should jive with the ownership. Ça devrait être le propriétaire. D'accord? Unless you have power of attorney, it would be somebody else. We'll identify that in a second. So ça, c'est le propriétaire.
Ça, c'est mon adresse.
Oui. Oui. Vous avez un chalet au Lac-Nil, 237 chemin du Lac-Nil, mais vous restez à Gatineau sur le boulevard des Grives. OK? Donc, en haut, first, c'est l'adresse de la propriété.
Oui.
Avec son numéro de rôle.
Oui.
Segundo is the owner.
Okay.
Who owns this property? Right? Who is mandated to review, to ask for a review?
Et puis, c'est l'adresse de Gatineau.
Oui.
Ça, c'est ton adresse personnelle.
Postale.
It's the same, repeat. It's as simple as that. It's the same address, repeat. Right? Because this is forms. Anyone who fills in forms, they ask it again, you fill it in again. Now they're going to ask for your phone number and your email. There is some correspondence that could come in by email, right? And then the demandeur, who is the applicant? First one is I am the owner of the property. I have a mandate for the owner, right? So basically, 9 times out of 10, it should be I am the owner of the property, or one of its co-owners. Like I said, you could be 12 people owning the property, doesn't matter. If Jean-Guy's the guy who's going to fill in the form, Jean-Guy's the guy who's going to fill in the name, the address of Jean-Guy, because it refers to the property of a co-ownership. That's not a problem. So Jean-Guy is going to be the guy who's going to receive all the information for the other people. It's good? So you either put an X here, an X here, or other. Other, I can't imagine other circumstances, but basically, if there's any other circumstances, you should consult an expert, like a lawyer. Right? So the first page, right? We went through the name of the municipality, the years, the unit, the assessment unit that we're looking for, review, and the ownership of the property, with address of the owner, email, and phone number. Pretty simple. Pretty simple, up to date. So if we continue down, now we're on the second page of the request for review. And now we're looking at the origin of the request, deposit of a new assessment roll, the motive of the request, the market value of the property, the target value requested, and written motive, short narrative. So if we can go down one, right? So basically, number 3, right? Number 3 on your form, right? Maybe we could go down to number 3. There we go. Number 3, deposit of a new roll. That's the motive why you're asking for a review. There's no other reason for you, people in this room this morning, to ask for a review, other than the fact that there is a new assessment roll for 2025, 2026, 2027. There are other motives. I can go quickly so you understand why I'm saying that. It could be a certificate that you receive that modifies your assessment, right? You build a garage and they put $150,000 on the garage. Whoa, 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 whoa. Then you can fill in a form during the year when you receive that certificate and say, no. Review on the value of the garage. See? So, but for us, and everybody in this room, the motive for the request for a review is deposit of the road. Right? And you have to, and that's it. The rest is for modification. Okay, and so maybe we could go back up, Madame Cardinal, just up, yeah. So you will find on your tax bill, you will find your new assessment, right? Land, building, and total. Right, so now we can go click down 2. There we go. So now we're at number 4 on your form. So number 4 on your form, they're going to ask you, okay, the value of the immovable. La valeur de l'immeuble. Okay, so you can click back again, Madame Cardinal. Up. Yeah, one more. Sorry. It's 537,800. Don't put the land, the building, put 537,800. They're only asking for the total. Okay? It's the total. It's on your tax bill. Even if it's separate, they want the total. Deux fois cliquez par en bas. Okay, so the valeur de l'immeuble, value of the property, it has a dollar sign at the end. 537,800. We'll take care of the rest afterwards. They were supposed to ask you for your assessment. The second one is for a correction. So forget about that line. It's for a correction, like the certificate for the garage that I mentioned, right? That's other. Here, c'est la valeur de l'immeuble 537,800. There was a line before where they had another line here, valeur recherchée. What are you looking for? It's not there anymore. I thought it was there by default. Okay, well, they do give you a space to write that in. So we'll go through this together this morning. So La valeur de l'immeuble is 537,800, and here we'll have the motif or the motives why you're asking for the review. And we'll go through those again. So maybe go twice up again, one, up, no?
The other way.
There we go. So you have your assessment, one down, and then okay? So, no, I'm sorry, one up. I'm going the other way, there we go. So it's the deposit of the road, okay? Nothing else refers to that, right? C'est numéro de la vie, that's a certificate. Just this one. We can go up. There we go. La valeur de l'immeuble, that's the value of your inscription on the road, right? And now we're down to why, the motif for the asking of the review. So we can go down one. Oh, sorry, go back. Don't forget to sign. Don't forget to sign. Put your name in square, right? And put the date, right? Now the date is important because it shows when you have signed. And if you're diligent, you're gonna send it by mail the same day or the next day, hopefully within a week, right? And you have until the 30th of April. The 1st of May is the deadline, so it has to be in one day before that, the 30th of April, right? So by what I've learned over the years, and jurisprudence has proven this right, if it's stamped on the 29th of April and they receive it on the 2nd of May, you're good. But if it's stamped on the 1st of May, not sure.
No, and we were warned, I had a meeting at the MRC this week, and we were warned by the evaluation department that it needs to be in by the 30th of April and with your check. So the method of payment needs also to be included. Anything received after that, they will not look at it. They'll totally refuse. So make sure, if you do mail it, we know our mailing system is not always the best. Make sure the mailing ahead. You can drop it in person as well, but make sure it's in before the 30th of April because they will not look at your application.
What if you don't have cash?
You can pay over there in person if you can. At the MRC
At the
Pontiac.
MRC in
Campbell's
Campbell's
Bay.
Bay.
There's no address on this.
No, because that's a government form.
That's a government form.
But if you go on our website, we have all the links from the
It's
MRC.
on your tax bill.
And it's on your tax bill, yeah, it's true, it's on, I
It
think on
says,
the assessment
yeah.
pages, you should have the address and the information from the
Absolutely.
MRC.
Personally, what I would do is the minute it's done, if you're doing it online, save it on your sheet and email it to the assessment department in Grace in Campbell's Bay.
Because they
So
do
you got it
also-
an email out and then put it in an envelope, stamp on it, and get it out.
Because they accept also e-transfer, like all the methods of payments are all available on their website.
Yeah, but even if the payment is not done online, mail it right away. You see?
Mais comment se fait la signature online si on fait online le
Ah,
PDF?
ça, je sais pas. Moi, j'ai une signature numérique.
Oui,
Oui, c'est ça,
Que
c'est ça ma
je peux-
question.
que je
Est-ce
peux
qu'on peut
coller.
signer numériquement par
Tu peux signer numériquement. Right?
Donc, on peut l'envoyer, si j'ai bien compris, sur mon téléphone anglais.
Non, c'est
Donc,
parfait.
si j'ai bien compris, je peux l'envoyer par courriel directement à la
Oui, tu n'auras pas le paiement avec, mais au moins, il va avoir la formulaire.
Mais vous avez dit que je peux envoyer le paiement par e-transfer.
Oui, oui.
Oui, ils prennent le e-transfer?
Oui,
Oh,
c'est
les
nouveau de
cheese,
cette
ok,
année parce que
cool.
je pense qu'on est 14 là. Fait qu'ils ont une adresse courriel juste pour les e-transfer. Fait que ça, je m'assurais de communiquer avec la MRC pour m'assurer comment tout fonctionne. Là. Ou vous pouvez vérifier sur leur site web, mais oui, c'est nouveau de cette année.
Dans mon temps, on y mettait ça à dos d'âme. On envoyait le chèque dans une enveloppe. E-transfer, donc là, si tu fais le e-transfer et ton envoi courriel, là, tu as tous tes registres électroniques. Aucun problème.
Payment is how much?
Okay, we're coming to that. Coming right on the. So, part 4, right? We have established the municipal assessment that we don't like, right? And now we have the motive, so we can go down 1. Now, I put 5, because really and truly it should be broken down to 5 possibilities. The overall value is not in line with market trends. In other words, your assessment at 530, I have it on paper, and Madame, we could send it. I have it on paper, and Madame Cardinal could send it to you. I should have made more copies, actually.
That's okay.
Do we have a photocopier here?
Yeah.
We do? Cool. I took it out.
Melinda, could you make photocopies of this?
Just this.
Est-ce que vous l'avez en français si on a rempli le formulaire en
Yeah,
français?
c'est vrai. I will send Madame Cardinal la même chose en français. So anyway, or you can take a picture. Because basically, the request for the review, I don't know if it's in English, so it's not français. The request for the review is your assessment. We understand, and I've read many requests for reviews over the 30 years that I was a municipal assessor, and a lot of people start telling their life story. No. Why? Why is $537,800 not the proper valuation for your property? So generally, the first motive would be, it's just not in line with the market. It's not there. Best property sold that I know is $400,000, right? So that's a general motive that says your whole value, land and building, whatever, doesn't really matter, is out of line with market trends. And that's your personal knowledge of the market speaking to you, say no, 537.8 is not properly assessed.
Comment tu démontres? Moi,
Okay.
je cherche des propriétés qui sont en...
We're getting there. We're getting there. That's going to be the most important part of the presentation this morning. How do you prove this, right? So if you're going to use this first one, the overall value is not in line with the market trends, you must have some knowledge that your property is not worth $537,800. Okay, we'll keep that on the back burner for the time being. We're just explaining our little motive here in the form. So that's the first line that comes out. And then the second line would be, I feel that the market value should be $400,000. So you explain where you want to go. It was there before on the form. It's not there anymore. So we're going to have to simply explain to them where we want to go at the end of this sentence. Okay?
On a des questions en ligne, on peut-tu...
Wait, go ahead.
Donc, en ligne, on a Madame Lafille qui demande est-ce qu'on peut mettre l'adresse postale ou l'adresse de la résidence pour le demandeur? Je crois que vous l'aviez expliqué.
Oui,
là. Dans la section 1, c'est l'adresse de la propriété dans la
Dans la section 1, c'est l'adresse de la propriété. Dans la section 2, c'est l'adresse du demandeur.
Parfait. Puis l'autre question, c'est la section 4. Dans la section 4, on demande la valeur réelle selon le demandeur. Juste un instant.
Where is this? Did I miss it?
Section 4, on demande la valeur réelle selon le demandeur et c'est à titre indicatif. Je ne pense pas que ce soit la valeur que nous avons reçue dans la vie. Oui, c'est la valeur qu'on a reçue dans la vie, dans la section 4.
Alors qu'on veut avoir, surtout valeur réelle selon le demandeur.
Where does she see this on the form? I don't see.
Pour un numéro 4 à valeur de l'immeuble avec une petite flèche.
Yeah, but that's the 500. Ça, c'est le 537 800.
Oui.
Et c'est dit valeur selon le demandeur.
Actual value according to the applicant for information.
Ah oui.
Ah, okay, my mistake. Sorry. This is not the same form that form that I have. So can we go back up?
Oui.
Sorry. Oh,
see.
they're here. Well, where did they get the 537 800? They don't have it at all. It's not
No.
inscribed anywhere. No. Okay, so they don't particularly care about the 537,800 of the value. Here, my mistake, my eyes are not very good. This is selon, according to you. Okay, this is the value according to you. My mistake, I apologize. Okay? So instead of putting 537,800, au lieu de mettre 537,800 qui était la valeur déposée, là, okay, you put the value that you consider to be the fair market value, 400,000. Here you explain why. We're all back on track?
Yep.
Okay? So maybe they asked you your opinion, so I didn't read it properly. So we can go down one.
Fait que là, tu viens de dire que c'est selon que c'est tout le monde.
Oui. Oui. So ici, c'est la valeur selon vous. Le 537 800, it's redundant. C'est redondant pour eux autres. Ils savent déjà ça.
Ouais. C'est bon.
They already know your municipal assessment. You're asking for a review of it. So I thought you were putting both side by side. I think at the time there was a form that had both, but now they're asking for your opinion of your assessment. Yes.
In the value of the assessment, you give your estimated value. However, in the assessment, they split it up in building and land.
Yep.
If your situation is, the building is, okay. I
We're
think
getting
that's
there.
Reasonable.
We're getting there.
Okay.
So no matter what motive that you want, as Mr. was saying, is it the land or the building or both, right? You put 400,000, okay? It's here that you'll explain a little bit further what's happening. So if we can go down one, then Madame Casson will be back on track.
Oui, Madame Lafille, je veux juste confirmer avec Madame Lafille la demande en ligne. Donc, au numéro 1, c'est l'information selon la propriété dans la municipalité.
Oui.
Puis au 2, c'est l'adresse postale si elle diffère de l'adresse ici.
C'est ça. So if it's the same address where you live, repeat it. But if you own a property and you live in Ottawa, section 2 is the Ottawa address. That is the thing. Ça va? So we can go down one, back to the motives. So now that we've established where we want to go, which is the $400,000, right, instead of the 537,800, you can have an overall motive of saying that basically you don't feel that the market trends, the assessment doesn't reflect market trends. You must have some knowledge, which I will come back to. You must have some knowledge why you're gunning for the 400,000. Some of you maybe had an appraisal done. Somebody had a refinancing and it was reappraised by the bank and you have an idea of what the appraiser came up with. Or you know for a fact that these properties were all selling for so much. I'll give you other ideas later on. And you say, well, none of them sold over 400,000. Mine is pretty nice. I don't see why I would be at 537,800. Right? So this is the overall market value is not in line with market trends. Based on my knowledge of sales in my neighborhood, nothing evolved over 400,000. You finish that sentence. Good? We'll come back to how you assess your value with the 400,000. I'll give you some ideas. Okay? Second one, now we're splitting. Là, on coupe. See? The land value is not in line with market trends. So now we're saying it's 400,000, but my land value is not 300,000. My land value is 175. You see? So now you're being more specific. Don't use this, use that. If you want to go for the land, don't use both there, just use one. Right? So if you know that the land value, it could be anything. It could be that you know for a fact that prices of the lands in your area is much less than 300,000, or you have a deficiency on your land that maybe nobody else has on the lake or on the road, wherever you are. It could be topographical, could be access, could be anything. You see, mass assessment That's where it has a major pitfall, is that you're assessing 20,000 properties. They can't know specifically each and individual pieces of land. You know them better than he does, what they do. So you have to tell them, no 300,000. 175, I have a huge rock in front of my lake. Can't even see the lake, rock. Or you have topographical access, or whatever accident that you have on your land, that's where you put it in, number 2.
Do you have some proof pictures and?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's where we're coming. Yeah.
With the application?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, the land value does not consider, then you can combine these two, right? The land value does not consider whatever. You know your property better than anybody else. So you're giving an indication of the 400,000, and he's going to understand that he's going to have to look at the land value, the building value, according to you, not said directly, but indirectly, is okay. So you're guiding the assessor towards the problem. It's the best thing you can do, right? So you can imagine number 4, the building values not in line with the market trends. The building values does not consider. Now you're escaping the land. 300,000 is okay, but 568,000 on my house, no. Don't think so. So again, you can actually itemize things that you know about your property that wasn't probably considered in the value, in the assessment. Yeah. Yeah.
Dans l'assessment des buildings, on va dire, puis propriété. Dans l'assessment du building, vous avez un chiffre. J'ai une maison, un garage, une remorque, tout ça. Il n'y a aucune discrimination. Il n'y a aucune information là comment ils sont tenus. Mais l'année passée, l'année avant, on a eu l'assesseur, puis il est passé une fois chez moi avec nous. Puis dans son formulaire, ceci, une chaise, un garage, c'est ça. So, pour l'assesseur lui-même, l'assessor himself identified each of the individual
Yeah,
buildings.
that's a very good question, and it makes the application one step further.
But we never got back
Ouais.
how each
I'll tell you how to do so. Alors, la question était, the building value includes all your buildings. If you have a farm, it's even more confusing because what's the house and what's the farm building and how much is the barn and so on and so forth, right? But they do have that in their file. So if you really want to go into the details of the building value, the land value is more or less something that you can control, right? Because it's supposed to be bare land value, no improvements, right? So that's easy. But the buildings, I agree, les bâtiments, c'est plus compliqué. And you can contact the MRC, right? By email. Contactez la MRC. Donnez votre numéro de matricule, your roll number, and they say, just split the values, please, of the buildings. They're supposed to give you that real quick. Yes?
C'est the same process. It's the same process for land. You own multiple lots.
Yeah?
Yeah, you have one number. So,
Oh, you mean your property has multiple lots and it's all assessed together?
yeah.
Well, of course, in that particular case, I would say 8 times out of 10, they took the mass area of land and they did an assessment on it. They wouldn't, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have a value for each individual lot. Maybe they do, but you would have to look into it. It's the same thing for a farm. Si le terrain, if you know that votre terrain a plusieurs lots, c'est probablement évalué tout ensemble. Ça, là. 50 000 mètres carrés, évalué 50 000 mètres carrés, fini, bonjour. Je serais extrêmement surpris qu'il y ait une valeur de 12 000 sur un lot, une valeur de 25 000 sur l'autre lot, puis une autre valeur sur le troisième lot. D'habitude, il prend surface et il fait une évaluation terrain. Oui. Yes. Oui.
On the land, we get back to that, so people taking pictures and saying what my land looks like and
Right.
how we have an opinion on that. And basically what I'm seeing in this assessment is our land value has gone up based on the sales of land across the way. So I feel like that's probably a common thread through
Could
all
be,
of
yeah.
them.
Mhm.
And how is it best that we articulate that in this form?
Okay, that's a good question. You do not articulate that in this form. Because you see, the assessment is based on the value of your property. You can argue that he used sales that are improper. That's why you're asking for the review. If he finalizes and he comes back to you and say, you know what, properties are selling this and so much, and you disagree with that, then there's a second review process. It's a small claims court. So you see? So you have to stick to why you feel that your value is incorrect. Physical deficiencies, land deficiencies, or building deficiencies that you feel that probably were not considered in the value.
I guess
Sorry, wait, was it?
Sorry, I guess the argument on that is nothing changed on the land from the last triannual to this one. So how do we know what they're assessing our land on?
I have no clue. And that's why the process should be transparent at the end of the day. When he responds to you in 120 days by the 1st of September or the 1st of October or November, I can't remember if there's an extension, he has to explain to you how much he came up with the land and how much he came up with the building and so on and so forth. He has to explain that to you. And if he says, you know, I feel that I'm right, so I'm not going to give you any proposition to reduce your valuation, then you know what he's standing on. I know. I know. And it's heavy duty. Oui, madame, excusez-moi.
Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everybody. I receive reports. I'm a freelance reporter in the community and internationally.
Ouais.
So I received, of course I'm following because also I own land and property in the community, so I'm following the whole thing closely. Also I was very unhappy with the assessment you received. According to your experience, because I received reports that the assessments itself with the inspectors coming to the properties are very questionable. I received reports, for example, that one of the assessors were extremely young and didn't appear to properly assess some properties, others they did. In my case, I had a very incompetent gentleman come to my property and violate my rights to privacy. And
You have property in Mitchfield, you.
pardon me?
You have property in Mitchfield?
No, here and there.
Yeah, here and Danville.
So, out of your experience, could you give some insights on what the assessment process is like and how these assessors, inspectors are accountable for their evaluation?
Yeah, I can answer that right away. You might as well get that bubble burst right away and get it done. The Municipal Assessment Office has accredited appraiser from the Order of des Évaluateurs Réguliers du Québec. He's like an engineer, he's like an architect, he's almost like a doctor. In other words, there's an order, right? A professional order that supervises the quality of their members. I am a member, right? And your assessor in Campbell's Bay is part of that same order. So basically, if you have any qualms in that respect, you go to the order and you say, listen, okay, I think the assessor, but if you're looking at the staff from the MRC, these are technicians. They're not member of any order, there's no public protection or anything like that. These are people that were hired by the MRC, you know, to do the work. So the process of an inspection, because I've done it for 50 years, right, is you walk in, you knock on the door, and you say, hi, you identify yourself, you I'm coming in for an inspection for the assessment in Alleyn-Cawood. I work for the MRC Pontiac, right? From there, he's going to ask permission to walk around the property. He should be taking pictures of each building. He should be taking measures of each building, making sure that everything is correct. Update his file because he has a file. He's there to verify, update the file. Then he's going to ask permission to go inside. Normally, depending on the region, I've never approved any pictures inside of the house. That's a name for the municipal assessment. As an appraiser, I take pictures inside of the house because either you're going for mortgage, you're looking at an appraisal, right? But at the municipal assessment level, my philosophy was no pictures inside of the house. So he's supposed to come in and look from the basement to the ceiling, to the attic, and go through all of his inspection areas of quality, finishing, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and so on and so forth. After that, he says goodbye, thank you very much. Any
Follow-up question.
Follow-up, okay.
What if you cannot give permission to inspect the property on the
By law, you
spot?
have to. He has the authority.
Because I asked my inspector and he told me, well, you can also schedule an inspection.
Sure.
So is that correct or no?
Oh, yeah. If
So
the MRC has that.
Like, let's say you have, you work from at home. A lot of people work from
Right.
their home now.
Right.
And there is a serious inconvenience of having people arrive on your property
Yeah.
without warning,
Yeah.
totally like interrupting your flow of day, and you are just incapable to
It could happen that that day
to
was,
comply with that,
Yeah.
even so you want to.
by law, they have access to your property. That's the law. Now, how they go about to get that inspection done is basically you drive up, you knock on the door. That's how it's done, because let's say he has 500 files to do for the next 3 months. He can't start getting appointments for 500 people. He has to get his job done. But, and my inspectors, and I think MRC Pontiac inspectors would say, okay, I can accommodate you tomorrow. Would that be okay? And then he will come back. But he has the right to go in. Yes. Oh, excuse-moi, j'arrive.
Là, quand vous dites les techniciens il y a des techniciens de la MRC qui fait ça.
Oui.
La MRC, est-ce qu'elle est obligée d'engager des gens qui sont certifiés pour faire ça?
Il n'y a pas de certification.
OK. Fait que dans le fond, il engage le monde.
La seule certification que vous avez, là, c'est le signataire du rôle d'évaluation, c'est un évaluateur agréé.
Oui, mais il n'est pas venu, lui.
Non.
Bon, là, ça veut dire, lui, il y a un kid qui est passé, puis il dit, ah, c'est ça, puis là, lui, c'est ça.
C'est un peu ça l'affaire. Donc, le meilleur technicien que tu as va te ramener les meilleures informations, et ces informations-là sont numérisées dans les systèmes très, très complexes d'information, et l'évaluateur, comme moi je l'ai fait pendant des heures et des heures, toute la nuit, des fois, je passe à travers mes fiches. Je dis, ah oui, cette maison-là, puis j'ai la photo avant, puis j'ai la photo après. Oh, ça va mieux ou ça va moins bien? Donc, je suis en mesure de dire, OK, celle-là, je vais la baisser parce que la condition physique baisse. Tandis que j'arrive, oh, lui, il a tout en fait son dehors. Je ne sais pas si on a eu le permis, il n'y a pas eu de permis dans le système, mais il a tout en fait son extérieur. Donc, oh, lui, je vais le réévaluer à la hausse. Mais j'ai une vérification visuelle de chaque dossier. Moi, c'est le même. Yes. So basically, what he was asking is that, yeah, you have a technician from the MRC who comes into my property and he takes pictures and he looks at everything and he sends it back to the MRC for a computerized system. Where's the assessor in all this? Right? Well, the assessor cannot visit all these properties. He has people to do that for him. But normally, on the computerized system, he should be reviewing. If he's doing 2,500 files next summer, he should be reviewing 2,500 files. It's as simple as that. That's the way I used to do it. Oui, madame.
Si je comprends bien le process, il y a quelqu'un qui est passé sur les terrains au nom de la MRC, d'accord? Mais comment on peut être sûr qu'il est passé? Parce que nous, on a un building qui n'existe plus depuis 3 ans, 2 ans.
C'est ça.
Donc,
Il y a une signature d'attestation sur chaque dossier. Every visit has
mais
an
comment ils peuvent
attestation.
évaluer dans l'évaluation qu'il y a un building qui n'existe pas?
Ils ne passent pas chaque année. L'évaluateur ne passe pas à chaque année.
La
Ok.
dernière fois, ici, dans la région, c'était quand?
Il doit passer aux 9 ans sur chaque propriété pour faire un
Il y a une
maintien de
rotation
valeur.
sur 9 ans. 3 triennaux. À tous les 3 triennaux, toutes les propriétés de la MRC Pontiac doivent avoir été revisitées. Et on recommence, 3 triennaux.
Mais là, si ça n'a pas été fait
Avise.
depuis peut-être 9 ans, ben comment est-ce qu'ils peuvent valider, computerize, valider que le building est mieux, il est moins bon?
Ça, c'est là où est-ce que la qualité du service dépend, évidemment, du budget qu'ils ont pour faire ces travaux-là.
Parce que là, c'est comme...
Mais votre bâtiment qui n'est plus là,
Mais
envoyez un courriel à la MRC et dit, écoute, là, viens voir, là, je te le dis tout de suite, là, le bâtiment n'est plus là.
J'avais une question suivante, un follow-up aussi. Est-ce que s'il n'y a rien qui a changé sur le terrain dans les dernières années, on peut prendre la raison numéro 2, là, par exemple, que la valeur du terrain, je sais pas, qu'est-ce qu'on peut... Enfin, que ça prend, qu'il n'y a rien qui a évolué. Est-ce que ça, c'est un argument ou pas?
Je peux vous garantir que les valeurs de terrain évoluent à chaque minute
donc on
de
peut
l'année.
utiliser ça.
Ça, c'est sûr et certain.
OK.
Sinon, le marché immobilier serait toujours stagnant, ce qui n'est pas le cas.
Mais où est-ce qu'on s'en va alors pour avoir une idée de notre valeur de terrain pour pouvoir remplir la fameuse
On va y
carte?
arriver, on va y arriver, on va y arriver. So, is everybody got these questions in English and in French? So the MRC really has to keep your files updated. And there's a signature and a date on each file. So if you go to the MRC and you check your file and the signature dates from 1999, well, in 2025 you should be visiting my property. Why wasn't it visited? Right? Now sometimes people want to have it visited, sometimes people don't want to have it visited. But basically, by law, they are allowed to go in. They're going to accommodate you as best as they can if it's not a good day for you. And they have to go in and revise their files every 9 years.
Just to follow up that one more time, because I did some research on that, and it appears that really your rights to privacy trump that undertaking.
Yeah.
So I find that's important recognition that, you know, overall is the Constitution where we have that right to privacy. And ultimately, you know, a property of somebody is their last refuge. You know, that also needs to be accommodated, I feel. And I really appreciated that you explained that.
We recently had, leading up to this, we had an assessor come over.
An appraiser.
An appraiser.
Because the English title has a beautiful 2 words. An appraisal is an expertise one-on-one on the property.
Right.
An assessment is an overall mass assessment.
Yes, we had, no, I appreciate that. So we recently had an assessment leading up to this.
Yes.
We had a person at our door. Does this mean they're coming again?
No, you had an appraisal done by a private firm.
The assessor.
No.
Oh, the assessor came.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, well, you're good for 9 years.
Okay, good.
He's gonna come if you have a permit. If you
Yeah.
took a permit with the municipality, once it's closed, we send it to the MRC, and then they're gonna come on your property.
Yeah.
So there's 2 reasons. Either they're coming every 9 years, or they're gonna come if you had a permit.
So they came in the permit.
Or you can call them and say, listen, I demolished my little shed.
Right.
Or the old barn. Either you went through a demolition permit or you did it on your own. I'm not here to judge. But call them. La bâtisse est plus là, appelle-les, dis, regarde. Puis là, la
Donc, vous
bâtisse.
demandez pour un permis, par exemple. Appelez-nous.
Non, mais après avoir tombé, it could have fallen by the wind and, you know, the weather being what it is these days. So we're back to the motives. You have to complete each sentences anyway, right? These are just a starter. And I agree that you say, well, why are you using these sales to appraise? No, it's not the time to do that. You have to explain that you disagree on the land valuation. How are you going to do that afterwards? Your proof is a second matter. right now, you just indicated that you're displeased with the land valuation.
On the land, so I just want to make sure we have the sentencing correct. So on the land value, can we say nothing changed on the land?
No, as she said, I can guarantee you that your land could sleep and be the way it is, and in 2 years it'll increase or decrease in value. Either way, the market lives 24/7, all day, all year, all the time. It doesn't open at 9 and closes at 5 like the stock market. It's all the time. So evolution on land, especially land, because land is the vessel for real estate, it's increasing or decreasing. So that argument doesn't stand. Yes?
What would be the percentage figure that the value gets up every year?
Every year, it depends. You see, the other complexity of the market is that Lac-Neil and Chemin-Cawood, it's two different markets. Imagine how many markets there are in the whole world. Just let's say just in the MRC of Pontiac. I would say the better part of over 1,000. Because each microscopic neighborhood has its own market, right? So if I say, oh yeah, things go up 12% a year, no. It could be 20% there and 5% over there. So it's a humongous question, and the answer is bigger because it's never the same. Based on what? Location. Oui.
Là, il y a deux choses. Il y a la valeur municipale,
Oui.
puis il y a la valeur marchande.
Oui.
Et normalement, tout le monde en ville, là, la valeur municipale est tout le temps plus basse que la valeur marchande.
Okay, let's get this myth out of the way. Okay. La valeur marchande, okay, la valeur municipale, au dépôt d'un rôle 1, devrait égaler la valeur marchande résidentielle. Okay. À l'année 1, il a fait son évaluation, lui, 18 mois avant. On se comprend? Hein? On se rappelle de ça, là, le petit jeu de date. Là. Okay. À moins qu'il y ait eu un crash ou un Donald Trump là, qui vient de lui faire des affaires, là, okay. Le 18 mois, c'est à peu près correct. Donc, s'il l'a évalué à 537 800, la valeur déposée au rôle, c'est la valeur marchande. L'année 2, l'année 3, c'est là que l'évaluation municipale commence à se détacher de la réalité. Elle se détache de la réalité parce qu'il y a eu un boom économique ou un crash économique. Tu sais? C'est pour ça qu'on argumente que l'année 2, l'année 3 d'un rôle triennal, on n'en a rien à foutre. Ça n'a rien à voir. Tu as déposé ton rôle pour 3 ans, puis je vais être taxé sur 537 800 pendant 3 ans. Je ne veux pas savoir ce qui va se passer à l'année 2 et à l'année 3.
Peux-tu répéter ça en anglais?
Yes. So he was asking, should the municipal assessment be market value? Yes, it is on year 1. Right? Because on year 1, he did the assessment 18 months ago, and it should stick to a certain reality unless something happened. Either way. And if nothing happened either between the July 18 months before the assessment comes into effect, your assessment should reflect market value. As simple as that. Year 2, year 3, that's where it's detached from reality. And he goes, whoa, maybe it's higher, good for you, but you're still going to be taxed on $537,800. So the answer is market value, yes, on year 1. Who knows on year 2 and year 3? That's for residential property. Yes.
How can, from 1 year to the next, triple?
It's not 1 year to the next. Debunk that right away.
No,
right?
No, but I mean, like last year, my taxes said, okay, your land is worth 70,000, let's say, and this year it's over 200,000.
Yeah, it's 4 years ago. The old assessment up to last year was 4.5 years old. So by the old assessment to the new assessment, there's almost 5 years in between. 4.5.
Donc c'était l'évaluation pendant la Covid, quand tout le monde a fui la ville et est venu s'installer.
Exactly. So just to open that question, very intelligent question, very good question. So let's go to the municipal assessment 2025. What's the date of assessment, if we go back up, there, okay? It's July 2023, right? So how many sales do you think there were in Alleyn-Cawood in 2023 for the first 7 months, 6 months?
A lot.
Yes, maybe. Enough to do the assessment for everybody? Probably not. So where did he go? Went back 1 year, 2022. Oh. So that wave of the COVID bump is still somewhere in there until the next assessment roll, which would be 2028, where there's absolutely no way the COVID bump is still part of the statistics. But no, because in 2028, his assessment will be based on July 2026. 2026.
So we won't have to repeat that process in 3 years.
So it was, the city of Gatineau had the biggest problem because their assessment roll was 2023, 2024, 2025, and it was smack doodle in July 2020. Boy, houses went from 200,000 to 900,000. But what was the assessor to do? He had the sales were there. Yes.
So as part of the task force, we've looked at every single property, right? So we can see one of the major issues is the land portion of people's property went up, right? So when you're filling in this form where it says, you know, you put what you think it's worth versus like what it actually is. Well, like I'm speaking for myself personally, I'm not a real estate expert.
Right.
I can tell you because I live in this community what I think my land is worth, but how to justify that on paper, right? Because how could you have a property that in 2023 went from 200,000 to in 2024 it went to 750 and then back to 339 in 2025?
Yeah, but the 750 was because of the proportion.
Yeah, exactly. But how can a person justify, because I think a lot of us, it's the land portion. So nothing changed except for
so his view of the increase of land is based on that particular project, right?
Yes.
So you have to prove him wrong there, and there's many ways of doing it. It's difficult for a person that does not have the expertise and doesn't have the database. We'll go to a database later on in a sec. So peut-être retourner dans les motifs. So, juste retourner, excuse-moi, juste remonter de. Okay, so you have, I don't know how many words there, but probably 1,200 words that you can explain.
We can add some.
Yes, and then you can add layers of pictures, maps, anything you have that would justify your argument.
For the number one, the land, about the land.
Oui.
Est-ce que, mettons, tu sais, là on dit c'est le terrain ne vaut pas ça. Est-ce que, si, mettons, je parle, mettons, la morphologie du terrain ne permet pas un système septique ou un puits, ça c'est-tu
Exactement. Absolutely. Absolutely. If the fact, there's the land has so many possibilities of being incorrect. You know, difficult. Land is difficult. Sometimes it's easy. You go downtown, it's all kicker, you know, all the same size, it's the same lot. But in the rural area, it's not the same. So the land could be, like you said, you can't build a septic system, you can't build, or you can't dig a well. It's solid rock. You can do it, but it's going to cost $50,000 or $70,000 more than a normal land where you can dig and put in a well. So that is exactly what you should be saying to the assessor. He's going to ask for a report.
And one more thing about what Madame said. On doit mettre une valeur. Nous, on pense, par exemple, que ça vaut X valeur. Mais est-ce que on serait mieux de dire que ça vaut beaucoup moins, sachant qu'ils vont trancher en deux?
That's a Trump technique.
Là, si maintenant, moi je dis, il dit ça vaut 400 000, puis là, ben, je dis non, ça vaut 300 350, mais dans la réalité, ça vaut
I
300.
wouldn't play games. I would target what you feel is right and have the documentation to prove it.
Mais si moi je me trompe puis que ça vaut moins que qu'est-ce que je pense?
Ah, ben là, écoute, that could be. La meilleure situation, c'est que toutes vos propriétés ont été évaluées par un expert. Moi, je ne peux pas les faire, je n'ai pas le temps, malheureusement. Puis je suis sûr que tous mes collègues en ville, ils n'ont pas le temps de faire toutes ces demandes de révision-là. Mais la meilleure chose, c'est d'avoir un rapport d'expert, d'évaluateur expert, qui dit que votre propriété en date de juillet 2023, pas aujourd'hui, là, en date de juillet 2023, selon les comparables que j'ai fait l'exercice pour la municipalité pour vérifier certains éléments du nouveau road, et puis ça vaut ça. Il est évalué à 537 000 dans le road, moi je l'évalue à 472 500. Tu donnes ça à l'évaluateur, tu dis tiens, mets ça dans tes bins, puis regarde ça. Comprends-tu? Là, tu as une preuve directe par un autre expert. Tout le reste, we're going to see how we can try to establish what would be the trends in market right now. Oui.
Follow-up question. What if it's higher than what you're establishing? Or what they are
Well, if you feel that you are higher than the municipal assessment, you do not ask for a review.
You made a mistake of under-evaluating, and they come back and say in July it was higher.
Yeah. What you put here is what you feel. Vous n'êtes pas tenu à ça. If you have other proof coming in, you can change your mind. I said, oh, I put 400, you know what? I had it expertly done and it's 350.
Je pense que ce que madame elle demande, c'est qu'est-ce qui arrive si tu es évalué à 500 000, puis là, tu demandes une réévaluation, eux, ils pourraient-tu dire, oh,
Yes.
finalement, c'est 600 000.
Yeah. Well, that's the method of a lot of assessment departments. You say, oh yeah, not 537,800. Yeah, let's go 637,800. Yeah, they could. Yeah, I have a client right now. I won't say where, but the assessor, he's trying to bump him out, and he put his review process higher than what it was deposited on the book. That's a really bad thing. Oui, excuse-moi.
I just want to make sure I understand.
Yes.
So we have a parcel of land that's gone up 800%. It's a mountain. Will I need to get somebody in to establish a value for?
Well, obviously, there are maps that would show topographical lines.
Yeah.
And what you do is you put that here. You say, we're not pleased with the land value, right? We feel that it's out of whack. And the topography of the land does not establish that type of value. Leave it there.
Okay.
Then take pictures.
See what take pictures, you can take pictures, and if you have maps, go with the maps, and let him review. And he's supposed to go there, I used to go there personally when it was a review. I couldn't see 25,000 files, there's no way. But when it was the review process, I had, let's say, 150, 200 a year, whatever, right? I would see 150, 200 properties myself, because I'm the guy signing at the end of the day. So sometimes I would send an inspector with one of my good guys, and he would, and I would bring back the info. But let him do, and tell him where you feel that he didn't assess it properly. If it's topography, it's topography. If it's la couche du terrain qui fait que tu peux pas construire ou tu peux pas installer des systèmes sanitaires conformes, ça va te coûter beaucoup plus cher, 30-40% de plus que la norme. Ça, c'est une désuétude au terrain.
Michelle?
Yes.
A question that I received a lot at the office is we have a lot of private roads. So is the fact that you're on a private road has an effect on your evaluation?
Sometimes. In rural areas, it's really part of the game to a certain degree, especially on the cottage areas on the lakes. It'll depend on the fee. Sometimes they're closed gated community where you have to pay $3,000 a year. Well, those properties are worth way more sometimes, even with the fee. But basically, the buyer, when he's looking at a cottage, he's looking at the lake, he's looking at the frontage, and he's looking at the amenities around the cottage. The rest, for him, the buyer doesn't really compute. that he's on a private road.
So the argument of saying my property is worth less because I'm on a private road, I have
It's
to
very,
pay
very
extra.
subjective. I could show you 5 sales on a private road and 5 sales on a public road, and sometimes those are just lower than these, because these are better locations. So it doesn't compute that much. Gaining access to the mountain and looking at it and saying, geez Louise, I can't get up there to do anything with it, that reduces usage. You can't have a better use of it. So you're looking at the trees grow, the value to in the market is less. He has to consider that. Because his sales has all sorts of bush lots. And he just averages them out. And then he slams it right onto yours as if it was sold on Highway 301, which is probably not the case. So you see, excuse me, what's it?
Wait.
Okay. So you see that you can narrow it down to overall value, land, buildings. Buildings, as was questioned, you can right away, I can see the emails coming in on the MRC of Pontiac. I want the breakdown of my value for the buildings. You're supposed to be able to give it to me. House, 300, barn, 100, shed, so on and so forth. And if you have the time, go and consult your file directly at the MRC. There, you're supposed to produce that file within a minute, and you'll be able to look and say and ask questions, what's this, what's that, and break it down directly from the file. Yes?
You were saying that they have until September, October to provide a response.
Yeah.
I would imagine they're going to get a lot of requests for reassessment. So is that time frame still?
That's by law.
Does it still hold?
It's by law.
So they would need to hire more people to do all of this.
I have no clue, but that's the law.
Okay.
Because I can follow up right away. By law, they have to write you a response, yay or nay.
Okay.
Right? Yay, they'll put in a new valuation. Look at it, decide if you want to go to the other step. The other step is to go to the Tribunal Administratif. It's an administrative tribunal. It's set up like a court system, but it's an administrative tribunal, right? And they have a judge there, and there'll be the assessor there, and then there'll be you. And by that time, if you're really going to push this to the tribunal, you need an expert. You have to have it appraised. But you see, right now, the way the system works, you have to have a difference in value so big for you to go to that court that it's worth your money, because you're going to be in the negative at the end of the day. Yes?
Does the triangular rule, Isabel was talking about, so normally it's triannual, but then they went to yearly. That affects the township. Does that trickle down to individual property owners as well?
The comparative factor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the comparative factor, if it's not changed, you'll have a new comparative factor next year. Right now, the comparative factor is 99%. In other words, if your value is 100,000 in the assessment roll, it's basically 99,000, by comparative factor. So you multiply it by 1.01, you're at 101,000. Next year, if the comparative factor
goes up,
to let's say 50%, then your $100,000 becomes $200,000. And that's why it doesn't make any sense. Why do we want to know this? I don't want to know this. I'm paying taxes on 100,000. Leave me alone.
Right. And so speaking of law, by law, it is a triennial rule. So when the Denford Lake is fighting against the triennial for the township, it's also for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So can that be a reason within our?
No.
It cannot.
No.
Okay.
You're asking for a review of your assessment. We're sticking to that particular subject. And it's broken down land, building, or total if you want to go.
Because we don't tax on the standardized value, on the comparative factor. We don't tax on that, so.
Right. So you want to know what the market is looking like.
But are we trying to look at what it was in 2023,
It's supposed to.
July,
Yes.
versus what it is now?
Yes, I agree. But for that, you have to have a license which I have, a license of a database. The database is called Centris. And Centris is it's a group of all the real estate agents across Canada. CENTITRIS, Centris. I have a license, Centris, right? And that license prohibits me to publish sales for you guys to look at. I can't do that. I'll lose my license, right? But Centris has an open database of properties for sale. And you can say, well, wait, in July 2023. Yeah, but look at what's for sale now. Give you an idea where we're at, right? Est-ce qu'on peut, pensez-vous qu'on peut aller sur Internet et aller sur Centris?
Oui.
So technically, if you know that, say, a property which is very similar to ours has been sold, let's say for the land, there's some a land that's been sold next to us, like let's say in the past couple of months.
Yeah.
And it's for, let's say, our land has gone from 100,000 to 300,000 in the value, but the land was sold for 100,000.
Yeah.
So technically,
he's wrong.
It
could be wrong. We have to understand, we have to analyze a $100,000 sale. What was the circumstances of that sale?
Yeah.
And does it apply to you? So that's what an expert appraiser does. He looks at the market, picks out the comparables that are specific to you. I mean, you say, well, that one sold for 50,000. No, but that one is in the neighborhood, it doesn't compare. You want it to compare because you want to lower it, but it doesn't. So an expert will bring you into the market where you're supposed to be.
but technically, should that be explained? Let's say, for example, I know that not my, let's say not my neighbor, but the one next to my neighbor actually was sold without, even without a building.
Yeah.
And, or barely.
You have to make sure of the circumstances of the sale. There was no cash money. Everything was on the up and up. Because it's specifically on land sales. I've appraised, you know, an assessor for 30 years. The land sales, they're notorious. He sold for 25,000. Yeah, with $75,000 cash, right? So you look on the deed, it says 25, but you know for a fact, or anybody talking about it, oh yeah, you pay $100,000. So you have to be careful. That's why you need an expert.
Juste une question avant que tu procèdes avec la vente des données. C'est que quand nous, on veut comparer, là, je compare avec l'autre pour combien ça s'est vendu. Mais comment je fais pour trouver le bon comparable? Par exemple, quelqu'un qui est peut-être à 20 minutes de Mont-Sainte-Marie, quelqu'un qui est à 40 minutes.
C'est ça.
Comment je fais pour évaluer, moi, c'est quoi les commerces?
Pour vous, c'est extrêmement difficile. C'est voire impossible. Ça prend un expert. Ça prend un expert. Ici, ce que vous allez voir, what you're going to see here, that's open. That's, everybody can look at it, and that's what's for sale. But you say, well, it did July 2023. Yeah, I understand July 2023, but we're in, March 2025, and the market has been kind of flat. So, if you can actually go here and ask for Alleyn-Cawood. Oh, you went already? Okay, and how many properties are we looking at?
Une.
Just one.
And you have all the files there?
Oui,
Everything's there?
Juste une.
Non, je pense parce qu'il faut élargir la commune peut-être. Vous êtes juste sur un chemin peut-être.
Et voilà.
Et voilà.
So look at what's on the market. What's on the market is in competition directly with your property and your assessment. It dates back to 2023, I agree. And this value, if it's lower than your assessment, it should be reflected in the next one. That's the way the stupid system functions, you see? Because basically those are the future sales that he's going to use in 2028. But look at it. Detail it. You see? It's the best way you can actually see. And you have centris.ca and you have Duproprio, with any type of agency that has a database. It's beautiful because you have shown pictures, you have everything. But what do you do? And you say, okay, you have, my assessment is $100,000. The guy next to me is selling for 70. But that's 2024. Yeah, come on. You're saying to me that from July 2023 at $100,000, now it's $70,000, you're making me understand that you're right and I'm wrong? Argue.
This is what it's for sale for, that's
Yeah.
not necessarily what
Yeah,
the person's
it's
trying
very
to
true,
get.
very true again. Nice, bonne remarque, but again, it gives you an idea. Yes.
So just let me get this straight then. When the assessor comes, he takes a picture of that one point in time where your house is worth X and your land is worth Y. He doesn't take any average of the past 3 years, it's really
Of your
that one
assessment?
moment. Yeah,
No,
so it's that one point in time.
yes, it's July
So you're
2020.
responsible for the 3 years forward with that one point in time, even though, let's say, last year it was 200. And
Yeah,
this
but
year
it
it's
wasn't
400.
last year, it was 4.5 years ago.
Yeah, so 4.5 years ago, let's say it was worth 500,000.
Yeah.
But then 6 months later, it was worth 400. because
That's
the
why
whole
we're all
thing-
here today to challenge him on how did you do this? For my house, don't care about the neighbor, if he's going in for a review or not, doesn't matter. My house, my piece of land, this is a neighboring lot in the same neighborhood, and he's asking for 70,000. Could you explain to me why I'm at 100? You have an argument. You do have an argument. It's better than nothing.
Qu'est-ce que ça vaut comme idée de, mettons, je fais venir mon agent d'immeuble comme si je voulais vendre. Lui, il va dire, ben, tu devrais vendre ça.
Yeah, well, see,
S'il vend ça moins cher que l'évaluation, peux-tu utiliser ça? Ça a-tu une valeur?
l'agent d'immeuble n'a pas le droit d'évaluer au Québec. L'agent d'immeuble doit de faire un estimé pour la mise à prix, la mise en marché de votre propriété. Seul un évaluateur agréé a le droit d'évaluer au Québec. Donc, s'il dit, je vais évaluer ta maison, tu dis, détrompe-le, tu vas estimer une mise à prix.
Une estimation de la mise à prix, est-ce que ça peut avoir...
L'évaluateur ne respectera pas ça. Malheureusement, tous les tribunaux du Québec ne respectent, je m'excuse pas d'utiliser le mot respect, là, c'est pas vrai, ne prendront pas un agent d'immeuble comme un expert. Seul un expert est membre d'un ordre professionnel.
Peux-tu répéter ça en anglais? Le real estate agent section.
Pardon?
Peux-tu répéter en anglais?
Oh yeah, so a real estate agent could help you, but the real estate agent is not allowed to appraise properties in Quebec. What he's going to do, he's going to give you a consultation on how you could sell your property and at what price. And he certainly won't be able to do it as of July 2023. So he's going to say, today I could probably get you X. That's not an appraisal. That's a possibility of a price set. An appraiser is the only expert in Quebec that is recognized in court. So you can scroll down and look, there's probably tons of property. And be my guest, go to Water Lake, hey, go to Cass Bathurst. check around. You know, you don't Neil Lake, maybe not Denford Lake, but you know, you can maybe do some comparables of your own. So you have also, this is the mountainous one there? What's this one for? Chapter 25.
You can't get.
Well, that's a pretty rough terrain to me, anyway. That's a nice property. What road is this in?
C'est de la titre, ça. C'est juste ça.
Well, yeah, it's just down the road there, but c'est quoi le... What's the name of that road again?
Harrison.
Harrison, okay. Oh, it's Harrison Road, okay.
Oh, wait.
We're right on Harrison. So this is public information. It's not the same date, but like I said, the market is pretty, I would say, on an even keel for the last few years. Now the interest rate went down again. We'll see what happens. Donc, allez-y, Madame Cardinal, vous pouvez descendre n'importe quel, tu sais, dans le centrisme, là, juste pour donner des exemples. That's my house. I'm showing my house. C'est pas grave, c'est pas grave. So you understand where you can get tidbits of information? Yes.
On my taxes, it says that I have 2 dwellings on my property. Is a dwelling a home?
Yes.
Or
Yeah. A dwelling should be a building where you can live. Basically live in it. Eat, drink, and sleep. That's a dwelling.
okay, I guess he was looking at the chicken house too.
Well, that's why it's interesting for you to go down there, or if it's, I don't think they share it on the internet, because they say, oh, it's private. It's my file. But you go down there and see. Allez voir si la bâtisse a été enlevée. C'est encore là. Tu sais, même si c'est évalué à 8 000 $, enlève-moi ça de là. Yes.
Pour rendre ça facile pour les gens, si on met à vendre aujourd'hui, là, on peut évaluer à 300 000. Et si je vends demain matin, ben, je veux 300, 350 000. Ça vaut pas la peine de...
Non. Ta question est bonne. Si vous sentez que l'évaluation municipale est correcte, oubliez ça, là. Le mois de matin, on s'est rencontrés, mais t'as fini là.
La meilleure question à se poser, c'est si je mets à vendre, combien je peux, si ça reflète ce que je fais.
J'aime ton idée, puis je vais le répéter en anglais. He says, you know, if I feel that the municipal assessment is correct, it's at 300,000, and I think I want 300,000 for my value, for my property. There's no request for a review. He's right there. When we did the study for the municipality, some properties on Neil Lake are spot on in the new road. Spot on, within $2,000 of my appraisal and his assessment. On the other hand, some are completely wacky, especially on the land, sometimes. So don't go there where you don't need to go. If you feel that, then his question was very simple. Ask yourself, do I feel that I could get this for my property? If it is yes, you're good. And make sure that the taxes are not low. Anything else?
Là, une fois que j'ai rempli la petite case, là, un 2, 3, 4, 5,
Ouais.
là, moi, je peux joindre un fichier Word dans lequel il y a des photos, tout joindre un gros dossier, ça.
J'ai déjà vu des binders, ça dépend. Ta question est pertinente. Donc, vous pouvez joindre toute la documentation que vous voulez. Si vous avez fait évaluer votre propriété par un évaluateur agréable pour une fin hypothécaire l'année passée, hein? Puis ça ne matche pas avec votre évaluation municipale, envoyez de l'expertise avec ça, là. Right? So, you can add to this all the documentation that you want. Specialty reports that show that you cannot put in a septic system. He's going to ask for a report. He's not going to take it on your word. And he's not going to go digging in the rock and see if you're right. So you're going to have an expert report on that, right? But basically, you can add any documentation that you want to these 5 items. And if you had an appraisal done within the last 2 or 3 years, let's say 2 or 3 years, and it doesn't match the assessment, obviously, put it in. That's where it should go. Oui.
This might bore all of you already. I'm not sure because I missed some of the presentations. I apologize, but if your property is in an area that is in a flood zone,
yep.
And it is so even that the banks would not even accord a mortgage,
yep.
How would you argue that in case you would like a re-evaluation?
Well, first of all, the flood zones have been re-established by the Quebec government, right? There was 2 sets of maps. There was a set of maps dating from the 2009 to 2019 era, where they had major floods along the Ottawa River and so on and so forth. You remember those floods, right? Those maps are out, right? There's a new set of maps that show, and it's completely changed. They're supposed to pump out new maps showing the lines where the flood zones are. They're arguing in Quebec City. You won't see this in my lifetime anyway, because they're going to argue. So what they did in the interim is that they checkered areas of interest. Aha, what does that mean? So on the map, if you're checkered, that means it's a zone of interest for flooding. That means that you're under the MRC rule. You have to have a survey. You have to have an expert report showing that you can build within or outside of the flood line, and show to the MRC that they can give you a building permit. That's a whole process. And it does affect value. It does affect value.
Well, the buildings are already there.
Well, that's an acquired right.
Let's just say we are unhappy with our assessment. We want to do a re-evaluation. And I already know that if you wanted to buy my property, you'd have to buy it cash, because banks won't give you a mortgage. So how would I argue that towards
And
the?
that is a problem for an expert. I will not give you my information because that would not be professional. But there is an effect.
That
There
would
is a-
represent the conflict of
Yes,
interest.
there is an effect. I can't give you the percentile of the depreciation because anything that has a complication, would it be the subsoil being very difficult to put in sanitary systems or being in the flood zone, it has a negative effect to value. I can't give you that number because I can't give you that number. It's as simple as that. But I can tell you you're right. If you argue that in the argument section, then you can haggle.
Well, for some people that would represent an obstacle in purchasing that property if they wanted to. So it's subsequently harder to sell.
Yeah, yeah.
Should
So the
that-
position,
should that affect the
yeah,
value?
the position of you as the vendor becomes the position of the buyer. You see,
Correct.
the buyer will say, yeah, I know that it's worth 300,000, but you can't finance this because of the flood zone, so I'm going to give you so much. So you see how the power is transferred to the buyer. The vendor now has no power anymore, and he has to take whatever he can take. That's the effect on value. We have sales of those.
That I understand, but that wasn't really my question. But I understand you can't really answer it, so that's.
No, I can't give you a percentile of depreciation for two reasons. Once, I have those statistics, but I apply those statistics based on each individual property that I appraise. So I have to see your property, I have to walk your property, I have to look at the map. Is it 10% of flood zone? Is it 50% of flood zone? That's a big difference. So all these factors come into effect when I give you a depreciation on your land.
Where do you see this map?
Pardon me?
Where do you see this map?
It's map Quebec.
We'll put a link on our
registry.
website.
Shouldn't that be?
No, it's not in the land registry.
Okay.
No. C'est Carto Québec.
Wait.
Carto
We'll
Québec.
put a link on the municipal website on Monday.
Yeah. You can just do flood zone Quebec and you'll see the map appear. Flood zone Quebec and you'll see a map appear. And then what you put in your address. It's pretty cool because it's linked up to Google and you just put your address and it'll zoom right into your property. And if you see any type of markings on your lot, that means it's a zone of interest. Yeah, we.
New map going to come out in the 26th.
The new map?
Yes.
Yes? Really?
Yes, we're working on it now.
Well, that'd be cool because, zone of interest for us as appraisers is nothing. We want to know how much damage there is or any. So you say 2026?
Yeah.
All right. I thought they would haggle longer than that because they're arguing on where the line should be. Yeah.
There were too many people that have checked on that.
They had to read back.
They had to start again.
Yeah.
They didn't do the one for yes, no at the same time because of that. So they delay until
2026. Oui.
J'ai entendu, je ne sais pas si on peut confirmer, mais j'ai entendu que si la propriété,
Alors,
le chalet,
can't hear.
si le chalet n'a pas, mettons, l'eau potable, et moi je pompe l'eau du lac,
Oui.
je me suis fait dire que s'il n'y a pas d'eau potable, les banques n'ont pas d'hypothèque.
Pas l'eau potable. Le système septique. Ça dépend des banques. Il y a des banques qui veulent avoir toute conformité possible, tant au niveau de l'approvisionnement en eau qu'au système sanitaire. Mais je te dirais, ça c'est l'exception. C'est le système sanitaire qui doit être conforme. C'est où est-ce que l'eau s'en va?
S'il a déjà été conforme, mais maintenant les normes ont évolué. C'est pas qu'il ne fonctionne pas, c'est que maintenant ça fonctionne différemment.
Absolument. Donc, effectivement, quand j'évalue une propriété en villégiature, où est-ce que le système septique est en fin de vie, il faut prévoir qu'il va falloir le refaire. Et ça affecte la valeur. Yes, sir.
Ces genres de choses, je pense pas qu'il est en fin de vie.
On vient de finir un terrain sur le bord d'un lac, dans le bout de Northfield, là, dans Gracefield. Là. Et puis, l'installation du système sanitaire coûte 50 000 piastres de plus. Donc, le terrain vaut 175 000, vaut 125. C'est aussi simple que ça.
Ça prend des papiers d'ingénieur.
Oui.
Il y aurait 125 000 si tu peux mettre un système septique ordinaire. Mais tu ne pourras pas avoir 175 000 s'il faut vous mettre 50 000 pièces de plus. Ça dépend. L'acheteur peut être déraisonnable et l'acheter pareil. Mais techniquement, comme évaluateur, le terrain vaut 125 000.
Mais là, qu'est-ce qu'il y en a qui, mettons, moi j'en ai un, si cette septique fonctionnait, je pense pas qu'il est en fin de vie, mais maintenant, les normes ont changé.
Oui, les normes vont toujours évoluer.
Donc, mais ça, tu peux avoir un argument de dire que maintenant la banque ne financerait pas ça parce que ça existe plus.
Ça vient de mince en mince parce que tant aussi longtemps qu'un système sanitaire qui a déjà été conforme et fonctionnel, il y a un droit acquis, et même si la norme aujourd'hui demande telle chose ou une autre chose, ça c'est de la nouveauté. Comprends-tu? Ça n'empêche pas que ta propriété est encore réelle et conforme.
Tu as un droit acquis jusqu'au moment où il commence à avoir des nuisances. S'il commence à couler ou des choses comme ça, le oui, il va falloir que tu te mettes aux normes d'aujourd'hui.
So I'm hearing all sorts of arguments coming out of your questions, and they're all valuable questions to be added to your request for review. Just fill it in based on the land or the building or the overall property, and you're putting it out there to him or to the MRC. Look at this. Yes.
Est-ce que vous avez une évaluation approximative du coût d'avoir une évaluation propre?
Okay. I can give you my sales chart. Oh, le coût de faire une demande?
Oui, c'est ça, mais c'est comme un vrai évaluateur qui viendrait.
Je vais répondre à ta question. I'm going to fit. She's asking how much it would cost to have an expert appraisal. I'll give you an idea of what it's like. So for the cost, the MRC cost for an assessment review, right? Up to 500,000, it's 91.35. That price was in there. 500 to 2 million is 365. Whoa! I don't know again why they. And then 608, and then for the billionaires, it's 12, 17, 50.
Mais moi, je parle de, tu sais, mettons, comme vous sont vous engagés pour venir chez nous pour faire de l'évaluation.
Alors, pour faire une évaluation en région,
oui.
La plupart des firmes d'évaluation de l'Outaouais sont de Gatineau.
Okay.
D'accord? Il y en a qui viennent d'Ottawa. Faire attention, je ne dis pas que les firmes d'Ottawa ne sont pas bonnes, c'est juste qu'ils ont une autre accréditation que l'évaluateur agréé.
Est-ce que la MRC accepterait une évaluation de...
En autant que c'est un AACI.
Okay.
Donc, dans le reste du Canada, c'est AACI, puis au Québec, c'est EA, évaluateur agréé. Ça va? Donc, les coûts de ma compagnie à moi, en région, c'est pour un chalet ou une résidence, c'est 875 plus taxes. Donc, vous voyez, c'est beaucoup.
Oui.
Mais c'est toute une expertise qu'on fait. C'est une expertise qui peut aller dans le financement, qui peut aller au tribunal, qui peut aller partout. D'accord? Puis ça va disons, de 875 à 1500 pour des fermes. Les fermes, ça va jusqu'à 1750.
Non, on est trop tard pour avoir ça pour la paye.
Hein?
On est trop tard pour avoir ça.
Ah, c'est impossible. Mais vous pouvez l'avoir si vous allez en requête introductive au TAC. En ce moment, right now, that was a good question. She asked how much it would cost. Okay? So what we charge, my firm, what we charge when we come all the way up here to do an appraisal, we do an expert appraisal. We go in, out, the land, the building, zoning, everything is discovered. We go through all the sales market, we go pick all the best sales. We come up with the value of your property, right? It's $875 for residential cottages, whatever, and it goes from $1,200 to $1,750 for farms and bushland. That's our price.
Is that tax deductible?
Oh, yes.
It is? Okay.
Plus GST, yeah. So, and it's very difficult to do this at this period of time, but you have to understand this is a request for review. It's not a court filing, right? So you don't need that. If you can go through what you know and try to get the information, and you have a buddy or you have somebody you know to give you that information, try to get that best information possible. You see, by license, I can't do that. I can't give you all the sales from let's say July 2022 to July 2023. But you don't need them right now. You're requesting a review and you're giving your arguments. Those are the two main things you should not forget from this morning. See what he comes up with, right? And if he comes up with a yay, good, look at it. If it's a nay, well then you have to decide if you're going to go to the court system. And through the court system, I would suggest 100% of the time that you get an expert opinion. Why would you go there? And I've done cases in Gatineau and big cities, Montreal and so on and so forth. In the cities, major cities in Quebec, you have to have a gap for a big file of $2.5 million between the assessment and the market value for it to be on the positive side ever so slightly. You understand? Because at $2.5 million, you're looking at roughly, I don't know, between $20,000 and $30,000 in taxes, and that's what it's going to cost you to get there. But then they figure that they're going to get it on year 2 and year 3. But now the municipalities figure, oh no, we'll just raise the tax rate and they get it right back. Quite interesting.
So each taxpayer today, if they wanted an assessment, would take either the first line or the second line?
Yeah. The reason why you want a reassessment is for the future. To make sure that if it's a physical deficiency on the land or a physical deficiency on the building, that it's duly noted into your file, and normally it should continue through its lifetime until he goes back 9 years from now and says, oh, okay, you fixed that already, okay. Now you see how it works? Because real estate appraisal or real estate assessment is based upon what's in front of you. What's in front of me at this time? And then you look at the market. So it could be a couple of $100 on your tax bill, but it's all the satisfaction of having your files right. For me, that's why I would do it. Your file, I feel that my file is correct. He has the right information, was on the right foot. The amount of taxes is, like I said, especially in your cases where it's residential and cottage, it's not $2.5 million. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You may have already answered this, but is there a way to get a hold of whatever magic they use to assess your property?
Well, normally in this response, yes, you can actually, like the gentleman asked, can you break down the value of my building so I can understand which building may be wrong? You can actually go tomorrow morning, Monday morning, go down to the MRC or do a request online and say, could you explain to me what is the ratio for my land value? You know? And what is the ratio for my building and so on? I just had a quick consultation with a client of mine in Otter Lake, and she got that information, right? So she knows that the land value is so much per square meter or per square foot, depending on how they do it. And for the house, you see, that's where she had a problem, is the house was assessed at $4,000 a square meter, which is about $400 a square foot. And the market is $360, maximum $360. Not a big margin, but she's going for it. She's retired and she's going for it. So you can ask to have that technical information, and not only the value of the land, but what are the ratios that you use to establish the $200,000 on my land assessment. It's good.
Est-ce que c'est possible d'avoir l'évaluation municipale pour, mettons, quand on était sur centrisme, est-ce que moi je peux avoir accès à c'était quoi le compte de taxe de la personne?
Pas le compte de taxe, mais tu peux avoir l'évaluation municipale.
C'est l'évaluation, mettons, combien vaut le building, combien vaut le terrain?
Oui, le rôle d'évaluation est public, il est en ligne. Si vous allez sur MRC Pontiac Évaluation, tous les rôles d'évaluation de la municipalité, de la MRC sont en ligne. Sont en ligne. Okay? Il faut que tu le demandes soit par matricule, soit par adresse. Tu ne peux pas le demander par le nom du propriétaire. Ça, c'est privé.
Non, mais tu as la map.
Tu as la map.
GoNet.
C'est
GoNet. G-O-N-E-T.
Non, mais tu n'as pas besoin d'aller sur GoNet. Va MRC Pontiac, évaluation municipale. Puis choisis ta municipalité, Alleyn-Cawood, clic. Puis là, tu vas avoir un centre de recherche, soit que tu as l'adresse, ou tu as le numéro de lot, ou le numéro de matricule. C'est les trois façons de rechercher. Mettons que tu mets l'adresse, tu vas avoir l'évaluation municipale au complet, nom, adresse, numéro de matricule du propriétaire et tu vas avoir la carte, la matrice graphique. Et la matrice graphique, tu peux l'avoir de deux façons. Tu peux l'avoir soit en plan ou soit en photo aérienne. Okay. On est en 3025 là, au Québec. Pas partout. Va ailleurs au Canada. Il n'y a pas des systèmes informatisés comme on a. On a commencé en 1975 à réviser nos systèmes d'évaluation municipale. Et notre cartographie, là, top notch, à la grandeur de l'Amérique du Nord. Va voir, tu vas être impressionné. Et la firme qui sous-traite votre cartographie s'appelle Gaudet.
Est-ce que je peux me baser sur des données qui ne sont pas forcément à l'intérieur de la MRC? Par exemple, moi, mon chalet, c'est une maison mobile. En fait, c'est même pas une maison mobile, c'est un ancien trailer de chantier de construction converti en chalet.
Ouais.
Mais là, je veux dire, c'est fermé en 2 par 3, c'est pour dire, je vais voir à combien ça vaut, comme préfabriqué.
Et ça, tu vas plus le voir sur Centris. Peut-être qu'il y en a à vendre. Puis là, élargis ton territoire, va à Heartelick et à Case, puis va voir sur Centris. Il y en a des propriétés comme ça qui sont à vendre.
Parce que là, il dit ça vaut 103 000, il vaut pas 103 000 un building de même.
Ça, c'est à toi de le prouver au tribunal administratif, d'essayer de négocier avec l'évaluateur. Puis Centris est une belle forme. Centris is a good way of looking at what the market is situated now. It's not July 2023, I agree, but at least you know where you're going. And you know where it should be going in the next assessment. You're precursing the new assessment coming in. Because those are the sales that he's going to be using.
Puis pensez-vous qu'on a réellement des chances ou l'attitude est ferme de dire...
Ça, je ne peux pas vous répondre. Ça, je ne peux vraiment pas vous répondre. C'est très difficile. Tu l'as à travers aussi le site de la municipalité, j'imagine?
Oui, c'est ça.
Donc, si tu veux User Links, puis tu vois ici GoNet, ben ça c'est OK, GoNet. Regarde, c'est génial. Accès public. Chez vous autres, vous avez un accès réservé. Puis là, tu vois, ton moteur de recherche est ici.
C'est ça.
Okay. Donc, clique 116, n'importe quoi. Il va apparaître quelque chose. Clique ça. Pouf. Regarde. Puis là, va sur photo aérienne. Look at that. Hey. Comment? C'est quelque chose. OK? Si tu vas sur imprimer, OK? Là, tu dis carte héros. Clique.
Ah ouais?
On va prendre 2 secondes. Allez, tu ne trouveras pas ça ailleurs. Au Québec, c'est partout comme ça. Partout comme ça. Donc, GoNet est un fournisseur, d'autres, la ville de Gatineau, ça. Alors là, tu vois ici, as-tu le rond, la fiche du rond?
Oui, et la deuxième page.
OK. Et tu vois dans la deuxième page, regarde, tu vois, tu as l'adresse de la propriété, tu as le numéro de lot, tu as le nom du propriétaire, tu as son évaluation, tu as tout. Tu as même, regarde, tu as la superficie du bâtiment, 70 mètres carrés, l'année de construction. Tu sais, si vos taxes ont payé quelque chose de bon dans les 40 dernières années, c'est ça. Oui.
Oui, OK. Tu viens de parler de l'année de construction. Moi, j'ai envoyé, parce que nos parents ont acheté un terrain en 1974. On a un chalet que c'était indiqué que c'était bâti en 71. Moi, j'ai envoyé, you remember? I gave you all the pages. Nothing has changed right now. It's still like it's 1971. We never owned the property before that.
Votre question est pertinente parce que vous pouvez voir plus que votre compte de taxes. Tu sais, on a parlé aujourd'hui, vous aviez un morceau de papier, c'était votre compte de taxes, mais allez sur GoNet.
Ben, je ne peux pas le changer là-dessus, là.
Non, je ne peux pas.
Okay.
Mais si la propriété, là, je ne vois pas, là, c'est quoi, à quelle date? 1900 quoi?
1993.
OK. Donc, si c'est pas 1993, tu dis, oh, pas 1993, ça c'est 1973. Ah oui, c'est comme la maison, la bâtisse qui est plus là. Après, tu dis, oh.
OK, Isabelle.
Changez ça.
Fais donc vite chemin Corbeil, on va lui montrer. C'est juste le bord du lac, là. Vous allez voir.
Ouais. moteur de recherche extraordinaire.
OK, c'est celle-là?
Vas-y, impression. Ça va mieux, c'est plus, plus convivial. There you go. C'est la connexion Internet. Hein.
OK, l'année du bâtiment?
Oui, c'est pas, je ne vois pas, là.
1971.
OK, on n'a jamais appartenu ce terrain-là avant 1974. Mais le chalet, je pense qu'il était bâti en 1983 ou 1986. Mais ça...
Encore une fois, again, très bonne question. Vous devriez consulter certaines informations de base sur GoNet. Hein? C'est intéressant. Autant que vous allez avoir de l'information qui peut être erronée, hein, que vous allez demander d'être corrigé. Vous pouvez le demander sur votre formulaire, hein, tant qu'à être là. Mettez-les sur votre formulaire de demande de révision. Oui, mais moi, j'ai fait la municipalité pour que les autres le corrigent. Mais ça, vous n'êtes pas obligé de faire une demande de révision pour corriger une date de construction. Non, je l'ai fait à la municipalité, moi. C'est ça. Ouais, ça va plus vite à la MRC. C'est à la MRC qui donne l'information à la municipalité. Ah bon. Donc, c'est bien mieux d'aller là, ça va aller là.
Nous, on a envoyé l'information à la MRC.
C'est ça. Une autre chose qui est intéressante aussi, c'est quand vous allez fureter sur GoNet, si vous allez fureter sur GoNet, excuse-moi, vous avez la date d'inscription au hall. 2014. OK? Ça, c'est la date que vous avez achetée. D'accord? Donc, c'est pas moi, c'est mon frère. Non, non, mais ton frère. OK? Alors, si vous furetez dans votre secteur, tu sais, les adresses alentour de vous autres, vous voyez, 2022 07 30 juillet, il n'y a pas 31 jours dans le juillet. En tout cas, vous voyez une date, 2021, 2022, 2023. Ça veut dire que ça a été vendu à cette date-là. Ah! Donc, si vous avez accès au registre foncier, vous pouvez aller voir, sortir au registre foncier avec le numéro de lot, l'acte de vente. Moi, c'est ce que je fais.
Comment on peut avoir accès au registre foncier?
Le registre foncier, c'est très simple. Vous pouvez y aller, c'est gratuit, ça coûte 1 pièce par transaction. $1 par transaction. Et puis, vous allez avec le numéro de lot. Hein? Vous allez voir, ben oui, Jeannette a vendu à Robert. Robert a acheté la propriété au Lacny. Puis, oups, ça a été vendu 365 200. C'est pas que ça. Intéressant. Vous avez des ventes. Et pas juste la vente. Vous avez accès, ça c'est le registre foncier.
Oui.
Vous pouvez rentrer dans le site. Avez-vous un compte?
Non.
Non? Alors, si vous n'avez pas de compte, vous pouvez le remplir. Puis là, vous allez avoir l'acte de vente. Puis l'acte de vente avec les informations du GoNet. Vous dites, regarde, il a payé ça 365 000.
Bon, c'est pas si elle a mis 150 000 $.
Ah, ça. Mais normalement, ça arrive plus souvent dans les transactions de terrain. Dans les immeubles comme tels, il n'y a pas de... Parce que bien souvent, c'est financé. Donc, on déclare. Je ne dis pas que les prix au noir, là, ça existe de façon fulgurante. C'est pas vrai. Il faut le vérifier. Il faut vérifier. Comme évaluateur, c'est sûr qu'on va checker. Si on voit que le prix fait... Pourquoi il a payé si bas, lui? Des fois, la question, c'est... Oui.
There's a correlation between our new assessment and the school taxes. So while the municipality has dropped their mill rate, that makes it somewhat more palatable, on the school taxes, it's going to be on the full rate. Is there a dialogue between the municipality or the task force in that regard?
No, we're not. We don't have any communication with the school board. That's an whole, like a whole other entity. But yes, your evaluation that you got from us, this is going to be used at the school board as well.
Yeah. But the school board has a pretty reasonable mill rate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a huge factor. So, yes?
Pour les motifs possibles, si, parce que moi je suis l'électricité, c'est private.
Oui. Chemin privé? Oui. Oui, oui. Probablement les deux. Parce que le fait de ne pas avoir d'hydro, hein, c'est vraiment quelque chose de particulier. Le marché, quand le chalet se vend 365 000 ou 500 000, c'est parce qu'il y a toutes les commodités. Le fait de ne pas avoir d'hydro, c'est un élément majeur qui fait que c'est une exception à la règle. On parle du 365 000, mais on enlève le coût que ça va prendre pour rentrer l'électricité. Si ça coûte 100 000, mais c'est plus 365, c'est 265. Et vous, l'évaluateur, bien souvent, va se rapatrier au coût pour réparer le problème. Comme dans le cas de la fosse septique.
D'accès à un réseau cellulaire, s'il n'y a pas de réception du
Ça, c'est moins demande. C'est moins demande. Les gens, plus ou moins. Plus ou moins.
Ça veut dire que moi, j'ai un terrain vacant, puis je ne peux pas le comparer avec un autre terrain qui est plus grand que le mien. Je l'ai fait, ça, puis j'envoie des terrains vacants, qui sont plus grands que le mien, mais le mien, il est évalué plus cher que 2 $.
Oui, il faut faire attention, il ne faut pas faire de comparaison. Je m'attendais à cette question-là plus de bonheur dans l'avant-midi, là. Mais do not compare your neighbor's assessment with yours in the request for the review. That, you take that and they put it right there. No. Your neighbor is your neighbor. You like him, he's great friends, but it is not the comparable between your assessment. His is lower than mine. No, doesn't work. Absolutely not. Especially in court.
Charles, if we're comparing the real estate market, right, where if we say, oh, these are the, you know, this is what houses or land is selling for in my area.
Right.
Then really, if my neighbor's property sold.
Yes,
and I'm
sold.
Okay.
Sold.
Okay, so if it's been a recent sale, you mean you need to look at what's around you.
Yeah.
But otherwise, your neighbor's house could be 500,000 and mine could be 200,000.
Yeah,
Because they're different houses.
But
different
in the
properties.
request for the review, well, you can't say my neighbor's lower than me. That's not an argument, none whatsoever, because it doesn't relate to the market. It relates to the neighbor's assessment, who could be, I don't know, for whatever reason, not assessed property. So that is not, it was not part of the 5 conditions, absolutely not. But as you said, and you're absolutely correct, my neighbor sold at 365,000. Now we have the right comparison there.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay, any problem?
Merci, Ministre.
Okay, good? Lunchtime.
Breakfast time.